Wild West portrayed in Live Alive isn't just a relic of the past. Spirit, story, and influence are found in countless modern narratives of the West, specifically those found in Texas. I went to Texas about 3 years ago, and so far it's been a blast. Some of my favorite parts of art and media is when creators allude to real-life situations and scenarios, and it's no different for Live Alive's Wild West chapter, The Wanderer. This chapter in Live Alive plays homage to and revitalizes timeless Western motifs of barren towns, outlaws, communities, friendship, and unity. I'll be breaking down the video into a few different parts, so feel free to skip ahead to whatever interests you. I'll be going through the historical context in which the story is set, the setting and atmosphere, characters, plots and themes, game mechanics of the chapter, and a conclusion section. First, let's dive into the historical context of the Wild West, Texas. The American frontier, especially Texas, has been romanticized in literature and film for generations. Some of the earliest Wild West films and literature go as far back as the silent era of films. Some themes of this genre include fighting for independence, rapid expansion and settlement, and conflict with outlaws and Native American tribes. The main setting of this chapter in Live Alive is set in an outpost, and this outpost deals with a lot of issues of being a small frontier town, including lawlessness, represented by the Crazy Bunch, the chapter's main antagonist Mad Dog, and community struggles. In addition, characters like Sundown and Mad Dog mirror the real-life tension between outlaws and law enforcement. The atmosphere captured by this chapter encapsulates the essence of Wild West town, including dusty streets, closed buildings, and a central saloon where most of the town meets. In addition, we see some barns and a police station. This western town atmosphere is best exemplified as when Sundown first arrives in this nameless town. He notices that all the doors are locked except for one, the one leading for the saloon. And as soon as he steps in, he realizes and notices most of the townspeople are there, including the mariachi, the barkeep, and some of the local citizens. Even so, as you progress through the chapter, the saloon acts more and more as a central hub of the conflict and moving story elements along. The characters in this chapter are some of the most fleshed out that can be found in Live Alive. Live Alive is definitely a game that prides itself in how it builds its world, including its characters. Our main protagonist, Sundown, can be described as our hero of many Western films. He is the classic lone gunslinger, who is on an unexpected journey from outlaw to hero. This archetype reflects other legendary Wild West folk heroes, such as Billy the Kid and Wild Bill. Mad Dog is Sundown's main rival, but I necessarily wouldn't classify him as the main antagonist of the chapter. He represents a sense of justified lawlessness and chaos. His main goal is to simply take down Sundown and prove to himself that he is a better man than Sundown would ever be. A good historical figure to compare him to is the infamous outlaw Jesse James, who is best known for robbing banks and trains. It also has many cultural depictions in media. Our main antagonists of the chapter are O.D.O. and the Crazy Bunch. O.D.O. is the head honcho of this group of bandits, and the Crazy Bunch are basically his henchmen terrorizing this town. We'll get back to them a little bit later. The last central characters I want to touch on are Annie and Billy. Both serve as moral anchors of the town and community. They also help guide Sundown and Mad Dog into helping their town. It is these two characters and their expressions that turn Sundown from an outlaw into a legendary hero. They represent an idealist version of what a western town could be. Soft, cozy, upheld by their own morals, and no need for the law. They also contribute to the town's sense of purpose, forward thinking, and hopefulness. Each story in Live Alive has a different mechanic that makes it unique. In this story, you're responsible for collecting traps, allocating them amongst the townspeople, and having them ready to deploy to prevent O.D.O. and the Crazy Bunch from terrorizing the town. This chapter also has time-based mechanics, as you have the night to gather the traps, distribute the traps, and set the traps. Any traps not set before sunrise will not be used against the Crazy Bunch, and you'll have to duel any remaining bandits at the end alongside O.D.O. At the end of the chapter, you have to fight O.D.O. and any remaining minions. Luckily, you have Mad Dog alongside you. One neat feature is that all of Sundown's and Mad Dog's attacks are gun and range based. It shows you how lethal they are with their weapons. In the Wild West, the frontier's people would also similar strategies, having a defensive/passive strategy, as in setting up the traps to prevent bandits from coming in, and aggressive and active strategies, like attacking the head honchos head on to protect their towns and villages. I've already talked about a few themes and plot points in the chapter. However, let's go over a few of them again. Firstly, redemption. As mentioned previously, Sundown's journey is one of redemption, whether he likes it or not. In typical Western stories, the outlaw hero usually confronts his past to make his present and future and those around him better. Sundown vaguely deals with his past as he tried to become a hero for a town that needed one. In addition, Sundown's chapter has parallels to other Western media and literature. In the traditional account of Western life, there are numerous accounts of bravery and resilience. Some of these depictions are found in films such as The Magnificent Seven, the 1960s version, and 1953's Shane. Both films have similar themes, motifs, plot points as those found in Sundown's chapter. One of the things we learn at the end of the chapter is that Odio, the main leader of the Crazy Bunch, was actually a horse. I couldn't find a specific tale or story that shows animals turning into humans during the Wild West period, but I know of numerous accounts of Native American tribes telling such stories. So it's possible that the townsfolk at one point had communicated with such tribes and felt that that story applied to Odio, and the townspeople were proven right as they saw Odio transform back into a horse. One of the biggest pieces in symbolism is a wanted poster of Sundown. It's one of the first things we, as the audience, are introduced to, as it is set up by the bartender in the saloon. And it's one of the last pieces of things we see in the closing scene of the chapter, as Billy looks gazingly upon the poster and wishes that Sundown were back. At first, Sundown was wanted for being an outlaw, but he was also wanted for the bounty placed upon his head. In the end, Sundown is still wanted, but not for the same reasons. He is wanted for the friendship, his moral character, and the impact that he had on the townsfolk on the western frontier. In conclusion, The Wanderer's chapter does more than just create a carbon copy of tropes and ideas we have seen in previous Western media time and time again. It brings to life historical and cultural elements of Texas and the West into a narrative, gameplay, and setting that pays respectful tribute